My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubow. And have you ever wondered how a real estate investor is tackling the housing crisis with innovative solutions? Today, my guest, Mitch Hardington, is on the show to unravel his success in new construction multifamily projects. Mitch, welcome to the show. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, Bryce, super excited to be here. Very passionate about this message, and I can't wait to hopefully add some value to the listeners.
Well, if you're part of the movement here, there's been a lot of talk at the government level about solving the housing crisis. I chuckle a little bit because it was a lot of talk. And just recently, I would say maybe in the last 6 months or even in the last 3 months, has there been some sort of actual change happening with programs like that? I'm probably going to brutalize it. MLS or MLIS. I'm brutalizing it. But there's a select program that essentially has the government of Canada kind of partnering with the entrepreneurs a little bit to make things happen, especially on the new construction side. So I'm not going to pretend to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to hand it over to Mitch. Mitch, what are they talking about?
Yeah, the MLS Select program has been just an absolute game changer for us, in the commercial side of real estate in those 5 and above buildings. And it's so valuable and so important to us because the government is literally financing up to 95% of these buildings. As long as you're qualifying with certain requirements that they're looking for in terms of like affordability or energy efficiency or accessibility, as long as you're scoring points in those categories, you're getting up to 95% financing for your entire build project, which can include the lot, the land, the build, the refinance at the end. So there's just so much opportunity out there right now to, one, get into the multifamily space, but two, to also help contribute to the so-called housing crisis we're having because we don't have enough houses for people to live.
Yeah, and what was shocking to me is earlier this year we were talking about it. I was walking the beat. We were doing flyers, and I was like, why isn't the government interested in solving this problem? It seemed like they were not. It was like talk is cheap. There's a lot of talk and nothing happening. And then at the municipal level, with the city hall and the city desks, it just seems so backwards, especially in provinces that aren't so progressive. Like Alberta, in my opinion, very progressive. Edmonton, super progressive. They were doing like 4-unit, fourplex splits on 1950s bungalows, and I was like, how are you getting away with these units? And it was really just that the city was on board, and now that the government is on board, a lot of the guys I know that are in the multifamily construction space, especially in that 5 and up, are super excited about this year. But what does that mean to the average investor, a guy like me who hasn't even touched a new construction of a multifamily building? What does that look like for me? Can you get people like me a little excited? Tell me about it.
Where do you even start in terms of getting people excited about this type of thing, right?
Like let's say I'm like a single family investor. I've been in the game since 2015. Spent a lot of time flipping houses, rentals, maybe duplexes, fourplexes, but never really going down to the city hall and saying, I want to build 20 units on this acreage that I have just on the corner of this street and that street or whatever. How does one start the process, or should they just come to someone like you and just say, like, can you help me build this thing?
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate and have always been a big advocate of mentorship. I think when you get into the development space, there's a lot of nuances in terms of, building construction, managing the construction, getting the right permits, making sure you're in the right areas. And I would never deter anybody from wanting to do that because it's so lucrative right now. There's so many opportunities for it. But I would definitely recommend either, hiring a mentor or partnering with somebody who's already in the space so that you can learn yourself. Because when you start to deal with bigger properties, there's more things that if you don't know what you're doing can potentially go wrong,
Yeah.
but it's all about mitigating those. And the team I have is absolutely incredible. And we work together so well to work with our investment partners to make sure that every project is a massive success. But I also have the background of 8 years of building custom homes before I even got into this space. I started real estate investing doing fix and flips. And then when I entered this space, I was shockingly surprised at how little capital you actually need to kind of get
Mm-hmm.
going in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was doing fix and flips, you're buying a house for 20% down, you're having to raise
Yeah.
the costs for the renovations. You're looking at 200 plus $1,000 kind of like
Easy.
minimum, right? To do a fix and flip. And then you walk away with,
20
hopefully
grand.
100, right?
Well, after you pay everyone,
Right.
maybe 10 cents on the dollar. So whatever it was, if you sold for 500, maybe you made 50K and you're smiling.
Right.
But it's a treadmill. It's not long-term holding. It's not building bigger and newer things, and maybe put vanity wise putting your name on it. The Mitch Hardington complex or something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. But even going back to that, so you're in the single family space. I've been there and we're spending 200 plus $1,000 to do one building.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing with my partners 6 units for less than $200,000. And that's total cost, total investment. So, for 200 grand going in, you're getting 6 units, you're getting 6 rents, you're getting one building that appreciates at the same kind of market rate. So,
Mm-hmm.
right off the hop, you're getting positive cash flow from day one, but you're also building this long-term generational wealth machine that you can pass on to, your family if you want. You can become your retirement nest
Yeah.
egg. Times are getting tough for people. Money is becoming less and less, or the dollar is becoming less and less valued. Things are going up. So how are you alleviating that pressure, right? Yeah, single family space is awesome. But for me, I get so much more excited about the multifamily space because I can create passive income, permanent
Mm-hmm.
passive income, and I can also create this appreciation in these new construction buildings that are, like you said, you get to put your name on it. You get to go to this thing every day if you wanted to and look at it and go, I made this. Like I was a
Mm-hmm.
part of this construction process. It's not like going to an old building where you're like, oh, look, it's got paint. I did that. It's
Yeah, I
literally, it was
painted
a
the
hole in
front
the
door
ground.
red. Yeah,
Pardon?
I painted the front door red, and I did
Yeah.
those windows. Yeah, because with the housing push, um, we could be that generation, because you look around and there's generations of multifamily, right? There's the 1970s stuff that's like the cinder block complexes, which are great buildings. Like I have yet to walk into one of those cinder block cubes and been like, it's slanted and it's falling down. No, it's pretty
Right.
much like the high school that you went to. It's still there, it's still straight, and it's not going anywhere. And then you go a little further back and you've got some weird 1950s stuff, and then even further back now we're into like Douglas fir 1920s stuff. So we might be the 2020s stuff when the kids look back at what we were up to back in the day. Steel and siding, that's going to be the whole thing. So
Yep.
how how is it that um the city is responding to these plans? Because I know there seems to be a little bit of a latency in regards to what the federal government is bringing on and what the city actually adopts, because the federal government's like, you should do this, and the city's like, we don't want this, and then there's
Mhm.
like this disjoint. So where are you seeing that going as far as the projects that you're working on?
So I'm super fortunate and blessed because I am focused so heavily into the Edmonton market right now, and the city
Mm-hmm.
is 100% on board.
Yeah,
They just redid,
110%.
yeah, 110%. Like their city plan, I think called 1 million more in it, references that they want 65% of the city to be infill and development to help increase the density without making Edmonton wider. So
Yeah.
they're very much like, let's go up. And they just redid their bylaws. And I think it came into actual effect January 1st, where all of this older properties in certain areas have all been rezoned. So you don't even have to go get permits anymore. It's like, yeah, you're in this area. You're already within our checkbox. Like, go ahead and build 6 units. Go ahead and build
Mm-hmm.
eight units. So it's so much easier for us to get into that market right now because the city is so pro. We have the MLI Select program funding us. It's just the most prime opportunity. And I see that trickling out kind of in and around the whole Alberta market. So
Yeah.
Calgary isn't quite there yet, but you can see the changes are coming. And then I've talked to investors who were out in Ontario, and they're having a hard time putting a garden suite on like their single family home in the back. So it totally depends on where you are, but that's where it really comes down to and becomes really important to have a really great team and know somebody who has their kind of finger on the pulse, who's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this is a great area right now. Let's kind of go heavy into this before the influx comes, right? And then ride that appreciation and then know when to kind of hold back and then slide into another market. Because you should never be so fully focused on one. You shouldn't be like,
Mm.
hey, I'm pro Edmonton for the next 15 years. It's like Edmonton is awesome right now, but there could also be other opportunities like Edmonton that arise. So it's constantly making sure that you are doing yourself a favor and keeping your eye on the horizon, but you're also doing it justice for your investors who are the ones entrusting you to make sure that they are making money.
Yeah, because you know what I've been hearing from Calgary is like it's too expensive. The city's too hard on us for our basement suites. And Calgary in the 90s, very progressive. They probably had another document that said like a million more, and then they did it in like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but since then, they're having a lot of challenges with their infrastructure, as it hasn't been maintenance since the 90s. So I could see why they might be a little hesitant to expand again or even to aggressively increase the population. But Edmonton, like Winnipeg, you've got the ring road. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see why they don't want another Sherwood Park or whatever outside the ring road. They don't want more and more stuff outside. They want to like keep, because then now they're going to have to run the buses further out and maintenance roads further and further out. So
Mm-hmm.
you can really see why the plan is set that way. Um, I really wish here in Winnipeg, where I'm the beautiful Winnipeg studio that I'm in. Uh, I wish they would get on board because it seems to take 6 months or 8 months for them to even put the plan together. And you know, we might not see the sort of wide open spaces that you guys are dealing with in Edmonton
Mm-hmm.
this year. So hopefully it's faster than that. But kind of like what you were saying, you know, once Edmonton gets built out, a market like Winnipeg or Regina or Saskatoon might be the next one that pops off, and you just say, okay, well, thanks for the memories, Edmonton, and you go and do it again. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, American real estate is much like that. It's like a boom and bust, boom and bust. It gets progressively more expensive until you can't really make too much money and you move on. So you didn't start in multifamily. Tell me about the beginning of the journey. What was the first step into the real estate game for you?
So the first step in my real estate game actually goes all the way back till my early 20s. And that's when
Mm,
I was working for a home construction company. Luxury high-end homes, we built them for the rich and famous, and I'm talking like 18,000 square foot homes. Like we built
mm,
monster homes. And I
yeah.
started there kind of pushing brooms. And then from that is how I worked my way up into project management. That's where I learned about the construction process and really how to manage trades and manage homeowner expectations and,
Hmm.
deliver a product at the end.
Yeah.
This is the fun part of the story is at one point, my boss actually pulled me aside and said, hey kid, I think you got the stuff to take over my company one day. I'd really love you to consider this. And I was raised in a family of, go to university, get an education, get a job with a pension. That was very much my upbringing.
Mm.
So when my old boss brought that to me, I panicked and I quit. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go to
Commitment
university.
issues. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm
He's
out.
trying to marry me into his company. I can't handle it.
Yeah, I can't. So I left and I ended up going to university and getting a degree and I became a school teacher.
Mm.
And once I kind of got out of university and got into that full-time work, I really had that craving, that love and that miss for like woodworking and building with my hands and construction. So
Hmm.
2017 is actually when I got back into the real estate game. I started with
Yeah.
the fix and flips and I did that for a few years. And then I scaled into condos. We'd buy condos and we'd put renters in it. And that was probably some of my biggest learning in terms of property management, tenant management, reserve funds, and how to actually buy properties.
Hmm.
Because I used to buy them of like, hey, that looks good. We'll probably be able to find a tenant there. And like it worked. until the first tenant moved out, and I didn't know how to market, and I didn't know how to advertise, and I didn't know how to raise funds. And now I'm paying a mortgage that I have no renter in, plus my own mortgage. And I'm like, what is
Mm,
happening? What am I doing? So from that is when I got into hiring mentors and getting a part of communities and really growing my skills and my knowledge. And that's kind of been the progression for me into the multifamily new construction
mm,
space, taking
yeah,
all of what I've learned with mentorship and my love for building and putting it together in this amazing thing.
yeah. And so, did you specifically get mentorship on new construction, or was it one of those everything class?
So the first mentorship program I was a part of was just, this is multifamily. This is how you raise capital. This is how, you do a refinance, just a super broad strokes. Welcome to multifamily. And that was like, multifamily, there's a lot of potential here. But then there was
Mm-hmm.
no real follow through from the program. It was like a great networking opportunity for people.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like the education, it was great to really get to know and learn about multifamily. But then there was no kind of follow through after that. And I kind of fumbled around for a bit trying to figure out, do I want to do this? Do I want to invest here? Well, everybody's going out east, so it must be a good opportunity. Nah, I didn't really like that. Oh, everyone's going to Texas or to Ohio. Nah, I didn't really start to look into
Mm-hmm.
that. Didn't really like pull the trigger there. And that's when I decided, you know what? I need a one-on-one mentor in the new construction space, the space that I want to be in, so I
Mm-hmm.
can learn and grow and thrive in that space. And that's just when everything took off for me.
Yeah, one-on-one is typically uh it's hard. It's a hard pill for people to swallow financially because it is usually like if the guy's worth his weight, you're pretty much pulling him away from his money making activities or girl. If
Mm-hmm.
the person, if they are worth their weight, then you're typically pulling them away from their money making activities. And depending on how much money their activities make, it can cost tens of thousands
Mm-hmm.
towards a six-digit type payment for some term so that you can collapse the time frames. I'm a big believer, like you could learn anything really, YouTube, etc., books, um, but it's not going to collapse the time frame, like getting exactly the information you need every single step of the way and no more than what you need. Because the challenge I find when people start really diving into the further education in real estate is that, maybe you buy that weekend course or something and it's just like, here's everything all the way from the beginning of the process to the end. And they sit there all weekend and they watch all the videos. And even within that, you become analysis paralysis. So, what was it like as far as the pacing and what was your ROI on that expense?
Up. The easiest answer is infinite,
Well, yeah, it's infinite in that you're going
right?
to continue doing it, but thus far, if you paid 100 grand, have you made 100 grand?
I've probably easy to like like 4x my money in that
Yeah.
already,
Yeah,
right? Like,
typically that's it. And it's going to keep going, right? I would always say like these are the skills that people can't take away from you. They can take everything. You can lose every piece of property, you can be naked in a field, but you still got what you learned and you can always do it again, get some new clothes, start all over again.
yep.
So when it comes to the mentorship thing, what advice would you have for people when they're searching for someone to help them navigate that?
For me, the most important part of mentorship is making sure that the mentor one has done what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I find there's a lot of programs out there and there's a lot of really great coaches, but if they're not doing what you are passionate about, you're going to lose interest in it. You're not going to be
Mm,
excited. And when things get hard, if you're not excited about the thing that about the road the mentor is driving you down, you're just going to get off the bus and try and find another one.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So making sure that they're doing what you want to do. And the second piece of advice is shop around,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person. Like, do you like to spend time with them? Do you get along? I heard a saying once from a real estate investor calling it the chug test, but he used it to
Mm-hmm.
describe like equity partners. But the same applies to mentors. Like, is this somebody you'd want to go and have a beer with and just kind of talk the talk and shoot the shit for like,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you don't, then you're not going to want to get together with them every week for an hour to an hour and a half. You're not going to want to, be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what's really hard for me right now.
Yeah.
Because the more vulnerable you are, the more growth you get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. I have coached probably 100 or 200 people into like the flip game back in the day. And you're right. If they're not in vibration with you, they're not going to believe what you say and they're not going to get the result. You could say the exact same thing to 10 people,
Mm-hmm.
and the two people who just for whatever reason they don't like your character or whatever, they just don't get along with maybe my personality type. They don't like the way I tell it like it is. Let's say that that's what they don't like. They're just not going to get a result. And if you put them with someone who likes to hold their hands a little bit more, a different coach, maybe they get a result. So really do, especially in the one-on-one section, if you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
looking for someone, how do you test that particular character with your options when you're looking? How did you do that with the one that you found?
I just set up meetings, I think, with 8 different companies that I just kind of came across that were all doing what I did. And I spent an hour just talking to them. Can we
Mm,
hold a conversation? Did I feel like at the end of the conversation, I wanted to have a bit more? And I kind of took that list of 6 and I narrowed it down to 3. And then I had second follow-up meetings with that set of 3, being like, okay, these are the people that I liked the first hour with, but maybe that was just excitement. Maybe it was like, ooh, I found
mm-hmm,
somebody.
mm-hmm,
So let's do another kind of 1 hour, 30-minute session of like, hey, I'm really considering you. I just want to spend some more time and I want to just drill down on what your plan is, how you're going to make me succeed. And in those moments, you'll really get to know somebody. Because if they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to succeed because I'm going to get you to do what you want, it's like, okay, I understand that, but like, what's your plan?
no,
Like, do you have a plan for me? And some people were like,
yeah.
well, we're really going to figure out your why, and then we're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, but what's going to be your
What's
plan
the
for me?
actual plan? What's the
Yeah.
plan? We're not just gonna like hang around and figure it out as we go. That's not a good plan. Sounds a little like speed dating.
Yeah, it was.
Ding, next coach, please. So, um, how are you funding your deals these days? Are you the managing partner in all this stuff? Is it a
Yeah,
company that you're working with or a company that you hire to work with your investments?
I'm the active partner in all of my deals. So I'm the one who is managing the deals. I'm managing the construction, like the day-to-day operations, because I'm a big believer in passive income. And I think
Mm-hmm.
people should be able to earn passive income and not have to worry about their investment, right? So
Mm,
I like to take that responsibility, and my expectation for my investors is, hey, it's like going to the bank and investing in a mutual fund. You get a statement, every quarter. If you want it more often, that's fine too. And you
mm-hmm.
just get to see how your investment's doing. You get the deposits into your bank account, and then you get to go do what you love to do. Because you
Yeah.
might not love real estate, but you believe in it as an investment vehicle. But
Mm-hmm.
then if I can provide you the opportunity to go and do what you love to do, then the world is only going to become a better place.
Yeah. I know a guy who is very heavy into the automotive finance industry. But one of his major investments that pays for his ability to like start the company that he started and this, that is real estate. I think he puts something like $1 million in a guy's hand and he just keeps it in his hand and the guy just keeps turning it and he just keeps getting his return. So
Mhm.
he owns some real estate, but it's not his future. He's not on the front lines. He's not interested like that. He believes in the tool, but he wants someone else to swing the hammer. So definitely um, that's they exist. Now, when you're looking at partners for your investments, is there really a place for short-term investors in your business model, or is it all long-term vision investors that you're looking for?
Generally, it's more longer term investors just because of how long we're holding these properties for. Because we're 2xing, like a minimum of 2xing your initial deposit in 5 years, but you got to have a
Mm,
timeline of waiting for 5 years to put the 200 grand in and then get 400 out at the other end.
mm-hmm,
There is always an option, and I'm currently trying to put together a deal like this where
mm-hmm,
there's somebody who wants to come in and kind of just earn a set percentage to fund kind of the initial construction phase, and then they want to pass it off to another investor who wants to hold it long term.
mm,
So there are those opportunities, but I find in real estate with what I'm doing, it's a lot more beneficial to kind of have that long term game of, yeah, I'm in this for a couple years. I want the kind
mm-hmm.
of month to month income because I see the bigger pot of gold I can have at the other end.
Yeah. So, you know, with everything you've done so far in real estate, what would you say your unfair advantage is? You know, what comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
I've got two, I think. My biggest unfair advantage would probably be that before I even got into this space, I had that construction experience. I built those
Mm-hmm.
super luxury homes with $1 million chandeliers. Like I had been in that space, so I'd seen the project from start to finish. And then my second one is my day job currently, as I'm scaling out of it, is I've been a police officer for the last number of years.
Mm.
And that teaches you a whole bunch of things around teamwork, stress management, how to make sure things get done because there's not a lot of wiggle room in our job sometimes, right? You kind of
Mm-hmm.
have an
Mm-hmm.
expectation and you have to meet it. You have to meet the standard. And if you don't, then it just gets kicked back and do it again. So I have this incredible work ethic, which I have partnered with something I love to do. Like I love to build homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just out there trying to make the world a better place and I'm trying to reach as many people as I can and I'm trying to introduce as many people I can to passive income.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a certain amount of like, what's the word? It's not integrity on some level, but the duty to the serve. And it's
Mhm.
almost like your duty to serve the capital that you've been given to make sure that it does come back because that is really the whole game is, you know, my one of my business partners, he said, we're not in real estate, we're in the mortgage debt service
Mm.
industry. And if you're servicing your mortgage debts, then they'll give you more. And should you fail to do so, they will give you less. So it
Yep.
could be any sort of thing, single family all the way up to like 1,000 unit multi-complex with a swimming pool in the middle. You don't service your debt, you're not going to have much of a career. So, um, when it comes to getting, because I imagine that there's lots of opportunity. What are you doing these days to get that message out to more investors, to get more people that passive income that you're so passionate about?
So I love to do things like this. I love to hop on a podcast and kind of share my experience and share what's working.
Mm.
Another great method of that is if it's something that you're interested in, is I share lots of kind of mindset and new construction stuff on my social media pages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm constantly going to networking events to share the message because how was it explained to me? It's like if you don't do something, the person on the other end doesn't know you have something, right? Nobody will know that I'm Mitch, the real estate investor, unless I tell them. Nobody will know that I
Mm-hmm.
have access to, I think, 6 different opportunities right now for 6 different investors if I don't tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be, you know, being at the top of mind, being at attention, making sure that you're adding value to people so that they're like, hey, that Mitch guy, I know him. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about you. So it's just building that relationship through time.
Yeah. You know, especially with social media now, it's like a tree falls in the forest. Did you post a reel about it? Because if you didn't like post a video of you chopping it down, did you actually do it? Right.
Yep.
So people will know when the social proof is there that you've actually done and engaged and done the thing. So if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, they want to, you know, reach out, possibly invest with you. How do they do it? Where do they find you?
The two best ways are one, you can head over to my website, which is elevationequity.pro. There's a form there you can fill out. There's bios and stuff. You can learn a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more about me. The next best way is through social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on all three. And the handle for that is just at Mitch Hardington, REI.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for all three.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and shedding some light on this upcoming season of multifamily, which I think is going to make maybe one or two millionaires. Maybe
Yeah.
it could be you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be the people you invest with or invest for as well. So I really
Mhm.
appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.